More on irrigation. I'm building myself a little, basically a manifold to replace some kind of sketchy manifolds that I have at another one of my plots. So I'm just going to kind of talk you guys through what I'm doing here. I've had these old timers at our flagship plot for a number of years, and they're put together with brass manifolds. And those things just kind of rust out, and they're kind of a hassle. Anyways, I'm going to basically replace the exact same thing. So I'm going to build a PVC manifold that's a lot more straightforward, because everything will be kind of neat and in a centralized place without all these different pieces that's kind of nebulous all over the place. So I've got 7 zones on this place, on this plot. I've got one that goes back to water the lawn part at the front of the yard. That's going to be this piece here, and I'm going to put an on and off on it. So what I'm doing right now is just kind of assembling, like Lego, kind of laying it out how I want it to go, and then I'm going to glue it all together. So my first zone is going to be this here, and I'm going to have to put little pieces of PVC and glue them between all these things. But this first piece here is I'm going to have an on and off valve on it, and then the timer is going to go afterwards over here, or the valve will go there. And then I've got my main line, so that's going to come in from the front of the plot here. I'm going to have an on and off valve for that. Then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other zones. Actually, I need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is my 90 here. So actually I'm going to put those those on and off back there. So I've got every other piece after that. So basically my little valves from my orbit timers will go on these like that right afterwards. So I'm going to piece this together, and then I'm going to take it down to the plot and cut it in. But I might as well do all the main gluing and assembling here when I'm in the shade, so that I don't have to be doing all this cutting and gluing in an uncomfortable sunny spot, which is at the plot where the irrigation is. So I'd rather put it together here, and then all I got to do is run over there, make 2 cuts, and then put in all of the valves and make sure the timer's set, and then run it. So I've got to cut a bunch of PVC pieces to bridge all of these together, because that's just what you have to do to assemble these. So I'm going to glue all of them with just some, they call it red hot or hot weld. It has the primer and the glue in it. So I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to count out how many pieces I need to cut here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I need to cut 18 2-inch pieces. I need another piece of PVC. This is a great tool. It's just your basic poly cutting knife. Pretty essential if you're going to be doing this kind of work. There we go. Now you can't help but get your hands a little dirty when you're doing this, but that's how she goes. Stuff washes off relatively easy once it dries. So now I've got that main manifold. So that's it. I'm gonna head down to the plot and install it. I got my piece, and so I gotta basically cut all this apart. And first I'm just gonna take all this crap out of here. First thing I gotta do that I almost forgot to do is I gotta turn off my main line here, because I'm gonna be cutting into the PVC. This is my water main from the city water, so I'm gonna flip that puppy off there, and then what I can do is actually release the pressure down here. That'll run for a little bit, but that'll release the pressure so that when I cut into that PVC line, it doesn't explode on me. Okay, now I'm going to release the pressure in this thing, just open that up, and then it'll all just be draining down in that little well. So I'm going to take all this stuff off. These are all the valves that I'm going to connect to my manifold. Now I want to Teflon tape all of my fittings. This here is a filter, and that just filters out any particulates, primarily like minerals that are in the city water, and that just makes my irrigation stuff last longer because then it's less likely to get clogged up. Now let's take this thing and see where it lines up. So it's gonna be, now I'm gonna put all of my couplers back in there. What I should have done earlier is done all my Teflon of these while I had this back at the homestead, but that's okay. Do it here. Already looking real good. So let's try to get these kind of the way they were. I might have to reprogram these timers to some degree anyways, but hopefully not too much. Now I'm just cutting in some extenders because my pipe that was with the other timers isn't quite long enough to reach to these, so I just have to, I've just got some couplings, some straight couplings, some elbow couplings, just to kind of make it all reach. Sometimes I like to screw these on before I put the poly on because they're kind of rigid. They don't really screw on that well when you have poly attached. Like, you can do it, but it's easier to do it this way. Okay, one more. This is my PVC kit that I bring with me when I go to do stuff like this. What I almost forgot to do is put my timer in here. So put that in. Now I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zones. All right, well, that is my DIY irrigation manifold. I hope you guys found that helpful. Irrigation isn't that complicated, but if you know some of the basics, it can certainly make your life easier on a farm. And if I would have known some of this stuff earlier in the day, it would have saved me a lot of time and money. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a super day.